So, our expert guest speaker for the business tip this evening, she has presented before. However, I felt it needed to come back, or she needed to come back with the content, not it, as in the topic. I meant it, not. I'll just stop talking now. The reason why this speaker is coming back, because this topic resonated with a lot of people, and I felt it needed to be heard again. So our mystery guest speaker, and none of you played the yes-no game on Facebook with me, made me look like I have no community whatsoever. I'm like, come on you guys, don't you have fun on social media anymore? It's okay. No one sees what their friends on Facebook are doing anymore. Who knows what Facebook is doing with the algorithms and all that hoo-ha. Anyway, I did this whole yes-no game to myself, and it's Alexandra Prattent, so please make her welcome.
Thank you, Fleur. Good evening, everyone. Well, my name is Alex Prattent, and I'm a director at Venter Belgarum Associates. We are a tax practice based in Arbroath, so extremely busy at the moment. All right, so tonight I'm here to talk to you about cash flow. So cash flow is a topic that we probably try to ignore most of the time. It is extremely dry, and it is quite late, and we are all hanging out for a glass of wine. So I just want to kind of fun it up a little bit, or at least keep your interest for a little bit. So on the screen at the moment there is a quadrant, and if you could just grab any old scrap of paper from your handbag and a pen and copy it down, because in the top left hand corner I want you to rate my content this evening. Okay? Out of 10, I'm never going to see it, so this is purely for your benefit to know whether or not you ever want to hear me speak again. In the top right-hand corner, I would like you to rate my presentation out of 10. Do you enjoy my presentation style? Do you find that I talk too quickly? Does the microphone not work? Or am I just too irritating because I can't stand still? In the bottom left-hand corner, I would like you to track the number of times I say and in the bottom right-hand corner, I'd like you to track the number of times I say The idea behind this is that I have to make those two bottom boxes as low as possible, and at the same time get the two top boxes as high as possible. Okay. All right then, so cash flow. I have here Venter's 2015, and I am going to say hand on heart, we haven't done our 2016 compliance yet, so it's still 2015 stuff. I have our 2015 forward budget. I'm just going to chuck that away somewhere. The next thing I have here is our 2015 financial statements. As business owners in the room, you will know this is a fairly expensive document to produce, and I'm going to chuck that away too. And then last but not least, I have our tax return, and anybody else would know that if you don't lodge that with the ATO, you are in serious trouble and a very big fine. I'm going to chuck that away too. Okay?
I'm excited.
The reason I have just thrown all of those three items away is because when it comes to your cash flow, none of them are going to manage it for you. None of them are going to help you. They are quite simply snapshots of your business based on some performance at a point in time that have been developed using a set of standards that have been dictated to us as accountants that we then use to do all your reporting. It doesn't reflect your cash flow at all. You need to be looking, quite frankly, as cash flow as a religion. All right? And when I say religion, I do mean religion. You should be checking your bank account, whether you are an employee or a business owner, every single day. And you might be saying, why on earth would I want to do that? Because sometimes it looks hideous. You want to know at the drop of a hat, roughly, what your bank balance is going to be at any given moment in time. Because when we're talking about cash flow, we're talking about maximising it and we're talking about measuring it. If you don't measure it by keeping an eye on it, by watching what it's doing, knowing where you're at, you can't maximise it. It really is as simple as that. So Fleur asked me to do this because my background is in big business. One of the things that she wanted me to touch on was, what is it that big businesses do? Because they always seem to have a lot of cash. This is one of the key things that they do, is they actually look at their bank balance every single day. It goes right through to the CFO every single day, how much cash they have in the bank, how much they are expecting to spend on that day, and how much they are expecting to get in on that day. The reason they do this is so that they can then make informed decisions around what they want to buy, what they don't want to buy, what they need to be spending, what they don't need to be spending. Good case in point of this is a new employee. This CV for this amazing employee crosses your desk. And you think, I've got to have this person. They are going to give so much to our business. It's going to be fabulous. But they want 100,000 a year plus super. Can you afford to pay them? Unless you can afford to pay them, you can't afford to employ them. How do you know whether or not you can afford to pay them? You've been tracking your bank account for the last month. You know at any given time in the last month you can afford to pay a $100,000 salary plus on costs. Okay. That helps you maximise it, because equally you might say, I don't have enough money to pay them. By not employing that employee, you've immediately maximised your cash flow because you've kept it in the bank for you to be able to use on other more important things within the business. So one of the other things that big businesses look at is their tax strategies. Now, if you go to an accountant will help you out a lot of the time with some tactics that help you with growing your cash flow, with actually improving your cash flow. One of the things they will get you to do is measure your trade debtor and creditor days. The reason they do that is we want to make our debtor days as low as possible, that is we're getting money in the door quickly. We want to make our creditor days as high as possible, that is we pay their bills when they're due and not as soon as they land on the doorstep, thereby keeping enough money in your bank account at any given time. One of the other things they'll do is they'll sit and help you do one of those fancy schmancy budgets I just threw on the floor, because it is a useful document, it just doesn't measure cash flow. And probably one of the other things they'll help you do is set some KPIs, so some targets to help you aim for whatever cash flow target you decide you want to achieve during this year. What I'm talking about is more about strategy, so it's a bit more base level than that. So one of the things that we would look at is, for example, how do you manage your tax bill? Your tax bill is one of the biggest cash outlays you're going to have. And it is to a creditor. You do not want to owe money to, because they can be ruthless. Okay, so what we sit down and we do is we might look at your structure, for example, and we might say, is this structure working for you the best that it can do? You could be a sole trader, and I'm willing to bet, just show of hands quickly, how many sole traders have we got in the room? There gets a point when you're a sole trader where there's nothing we can do about the tax rate anymore. Okay, you start hitting those higher tax brackets, nothing we can do. At that point in time, we turn around and we say, okay, well maybe the sole trader registration isn't working for us anymore. Maybe we need to look at a trust, or maybe we need to look at a company. Sounds very complicated, but it will reduce your tax bill. The corporate tax rate has dropped to 28.5%. Those of you on sole traders will know that you have to be earning practically nothing to get your tax rate down that low. All right, so if you want to be successful, you need to be looking at things like that. And that's something that a good strategy will help you sort out. You might have 5 companies and be doing really, really well, but you still, trust me, want to minimise your tax flow. Nobody wants to be paying too much on that particular one. The last thing I want to just talk about very quickly tonight is borrowing money. Okay, now, I'm up there with the best of them. I have a mortgage. I used to have a car debt, paid it off last year. But what I would say to you is if you need to buy a piece of equipment or you need to buy something for the business that's going to depreciate over time, by all means borrow the money. Okay? It's very rare that you can afford to outlay that in one hit. So borrow the money, make sure the loan is paid off over the period or the effective life of the asset. That way you're matching cash inflow with cash outflow. What I am saying to you to not do is borrow money to fund the everyday workings of the business, your everyday spend. Because what in effect you are really doing is borrowing against the future earnings of the business. And because, let's think about it, if you're using, borrowing against the future earnings of the business, what are we really doing? We have a line of credit, or we have an overdraft. And as soon as you have a line of credit or an overdraft, the interest rate rockets. So not only are you borrowing against the future earnings of your business, but you're paying someone else to have the privilege of using that money today. Or you could just kind of wait. Now, I know, I'm a business owner, I know there are times when your cash flow's up here and you're just simply swimming in the stuff and you think it's wonderful, and there are times down here where you're really scraping to pay the bills each month. That is a normal cycle. It happens to the best of us. That's where your budget comes in handy, because you can sit down and you can look at your budget and say, I know in June we're going to be scraping. So in May and going backwards, you can actually make sure that there's enough money in the bank to cover it. But try very, very hard not to have a line of credit or any sort of overdraft facility, because that is absolutely going to knacker your cash flow. Okay. So I think I pretty much scored 10 minutes on the dot there. All I have left to say to you is, how did I do with my ums and ahs?
Fantastic. Other than when you said and ah at the start.
Awesome, that's what I want to hear. That's what I would like to hear. All right, well, look, I'm going to be here for most of the rest of the evening. If any of you guys got any questions, feel free to come and have a chat with me, okay?
Thanks very much, Alex. Sexing up cash flow, that's what I like to see. So I think that's pretty much it for all our formalities. Yay! Let's get back to some networking. So, yes, so we're back here 14th of September for John Bellamy's topic of turning conversations into cash. Woo! That's the kind of story I want to hear. So, please stay. There's more food arriving. There's wine arriving. Keith is going to put some music on, and this is your time to network. I haven't got through my list of people I need to connect, so please network, network, network.
Thanks,